STAKK Nation, welcome back to the channel.
Champions.
Before we get started, I want to read to you the definition of a shock. A shock. I say a shock. Let's just say shock.
Shook him off.
Your soul has been shooken by the devil. A shook. A sudden and violent blow or impact collision when used as a noun. As a verb, can be used as to strike or to jar with intense surprise, horror, disgust, etc. I think some of what we'll be talking about today will fall under that verb. And of course, to undergo a shock. Now, when people are in a state of shock, what are some, how would you say, symptoms or characteristics that they display?
Fear.
Stupidification. Exactly. Some of them are petrified, frozen.
Oh, right? Man. In Nigeria, it's called BAM.
Exactly.
Gang.
Yeah, I mean, sudden death. As some of them might call it. Well, you may be wondering to yourself, what does this shock have to do with anything? We have a video. I think we'll play the video. And we'll come back and discuss this shock that a group of terrorists are trying to, I guess, define how they can shock the world. Let's jump into it.
How is this transition going to happen? I mean, totally agree that the world order, the way it is built today, doesn't make any sense. That is not in line with the economic powers like India, Brazil, or Germany. You know that they don't have a massive role in the international order. But to me, the big question is how we are going to go through this transform. It cannot be gradual. It has to be driven by a certain shock that will happen. So now we will reconsider this entire.
No, so if your question is that this period could be turbulent, could have violence, could have conflicts, we are already living it. I think the last 5 or 6 years tell us that we are going through a rather turbulent phase. We have lost a large part of humankind to the pandemic because we were all selfish. We were not willing to share. We were not willing to use the global institutions to deliver responses to different parts of the world. We have lost people. Now, how much more bloodshed do we need to understand that the transition is upon us?
Tell them. Transition, though.
The
What
world
transition?
order today, the way it's set up, does not make sense. World order does not make sense. Well, does not make sense to who is one way you could start by looking at it. And a shock to create a transition to a world order that makes sense. And then, of course, we have the other gentleman there who is talking about, well, we're already in a state of shock. Everything is already happening. But then again, I keep bringing up this term misdirection because at the end of the day, when things happen, it's really about how you interpret it. There's been violent events going on around the world non-stop for as long as I can remember.
Since 2008, actually, non-stop.
Right. And so it seems like they can just pick and select any groups of violence or going on, or groups of, I guess, unstable activities going on around the world and use that to push their point further. Yes, COVID was a massive shock. It's been a massive shock to this.
Caused by wool.
Right, caused by, what seems like, a group of shady people, because at the end of the day, we are now at a point where these same people are now, and this is, like the, what do you call these people? The Food and Drug, is it Food and Drug Administration?
FDA?
Yeah, the FDA.
USAID?
Right, and all these organizations that are supposed to protect the people have now come to a point where they are admitting that the vaccine situation was
was
shoddy, right? It was nothing.
Organization.
Exactly. Well, even I'm talking about local regulators that we are supposed to depend on to ensure that people do not get vaccinated with something that is not fully or properly tested. So we can use that sort of information to further this agenda of world government. I understand that people have been essentially just shocked continuously ever since the whole Trump situation, and it is overwhelming. But I think that it is also a time for us to really be paying attention, because this are the moments that people like these take advantage of to turn things to the next phase of whatever it is they're trying to achieve. When he says that the world order does not make sense right now, that would be the structure of the way things are sitting, right? Having that nationality set up,
Yep.
having an identity, and so on and so forth.
Yep.
I don't know who, well, as far as I know, I don't know of any people who are complaining that they don't want to be identified with their culture anymore, or anyone who is asking for a single world government, as these people are pushing on for.
It's their own agenda, man. It's their vision.
Yeah,
Push it on them. They don't have to ask for it. Just push it on them.
exactly. So when I watch videos like this, it's interesting because I keep asking myself,
Who are these people?
who are these people? Yeah. But carry on.
Oh my goodness. I've been trying to hold my mouth, man. This is crazy. So if you listen to that speech over again, I would suggest that you rewind it. It's funny how it placed India, Brazil, right next to Germany. Three different governments, three different trajectories, right? But you have to understand that one actually takes advantage of the many. Advantage has been taken off of Brazil, right? Advantage has been taken off of India
Right.
by who? The European countries. But in this conversation, it brings them together to make it seem as if, oh yes, we should be a one world country, one world government. Whereas you know that as it stands, your globalization takes advantage of South America and Africa. Right? So if you want a global world to work together, why did you screw up so bad during COVID? Why didn't you help them out during COVID? You left India hanging, you left Brazil hanging, and you left Africa hanging, whereas you sent all those vaccines to your European countries. Just think about it. And the Indian guy was right. So you're saying, oh, you want a shock. Guess what? Let's remember, the last time we got a change in world order was World War II. This was when the dollar became the global tender, or a global form of transaction. That's when we implemented SWIFT. And it seems like that is the transition that they want now. Is that we need a bigger shock
Yeah.
than COVID. COVID did not work. World War II was a big shock. It was implemented effectively. That happened. Now they're looking for the next big shock. Is it going to be World War III with Russia and China? Just think about it. When these guys are talking, you need to start breaking it down and start paying attention to the words that are coming out of their mouth. A new global order is needed, and we need a shock. What's going to happen after that shock? What new currency are we going to be using? Who's going to be the new powers? Because each time there's a shock, there's a huge transition. And who's all going to get impacted? They're looking for another shock right now. And each time you watch these videos, a few years later, if not months later, something really huge happens. Like, for example, now, President Biden is currently in Ukraine, in Kyiv. That's going to piss off Russia. Now, does that mean that Russia's going to now pull out its nuclear weapons to start using it? Is that going to be the cause and effect for a nuclear war?
You know, I just realized something. You said President Biden is in Ukraine.
Yep.
It's quite interesting that he's in Ukraine. Meanwhile, there is essentially a chemical weapon that has been released in the middle of the country.
All over the country, actually, at this
And
moment.
they're still acting like that has not happened. Like, they're still not acknowledging that. Like, as far as I know, like, there's not been like an official statement from Biden. The way they're handling that whole situation is garbage. So it is very interesting that there are things that are a direct threat to U.S. citizens, but these guys are out there. But then again, we know all the shady dealings that has been happening. it really sucks, man, when you get to a point where it just seems like parts of the U.S. government is losing its credibility because of corrupt people. But you know, that's a story for another day. Final thoughts on this one, man. I just think these people are terrorists. I think that the shock that they speak about is yet to come. What the guy is talking about there, where he's saying, if you look at everything that is happening, we're really in a state of shock. I think that while he's trying to come across as the reasonable person there, I think what he's doing is also trying to normalize the insane things that they throw out there and try to normalize disasters and catastrophic situations, preparing people's minds to be in this state of expectation, right? Expecting something horrible. So when that thing horrible happens, you're really feeling like, well, we kind of expected this, so you're not retaliating towards it. It's boiling frog activity.
Yeah.
What you're looking at there.
Boil the frog slowly.
Yes, they warm up your mind to the idea of disaster. So when the disaster happens, it seems like, oh, well, we've been expecting this. But this is where critical thinking comes in. And I think that's the next video we should do.
I should say something though. It's kind of sad, but each time America has gone to war, the stock market has skyrocketed because people benefit from war. Certain industries benefited, which then makes the stock market jump up. This could be in line with the next crypto or whatever you want to call it pump as well. Just a thought for those out there that just cared about money. That's all I have to say. At the end of the day, these guys are putting all of this together to have control.
There we go. Ladies and gentlemen, please subscribe to the channel. We've been tap dancing along. Feels great. And we are on YouTube here. STAKK. Please like, share, subscribe. Share the video with friends. We're also on Twitter, STAKKFin. Facebook, STAKKFin as well. And when it comes to Instagram, man, we are somewhere in the shadow realm. We don't know what's going on with that. And of course, Spotify. We are in there. Until next time, Brezen out.
Double O.